Housing market, housing crisis. When can I buy a home? What are interest rates going to do? Joining us, Trevor Halpern, who is from Halpern Residential. I really need your expertise on this.
Yeah.
I've been here for 30 years. I've watched what's happened, but that doesn't mean I understand why it's happening.
Right.
So let's start with mortgage rates.
Sure.
What is affecting mortgage rates? We've seen them tick up again, even though interest rates have moderated. What really affects mortgage rates, and what can we expect to happen?
Yeah, really the biggest driver of mortgage rates is the yield on the 10-year Treasury note. What that means is it's basically a risk assessment that the marketplace puts out there saying the yield on this note is gonna increase or decrease based on a bunch of external factors. Job rates, unemployment, inflation. There's so many things that go into that yield that it's really hard to predict where it's gonna go. You know, like when the Fed adjusts their rate,
Right.
Typically people go, oh, interest rates are coming down. The last time the Fed adjusted their rate, mortgage interest rates shot up.
Right.
So it's an inverse relationship. That doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes it goes down as the Fed rate goes down, but really it is when the chairman of the Fed goes up and speaks, the duration of this speech sometimes affects mortgage interest rates. The ancillary things that the Fed chairman speaks about affects rates. And so if they get long-winded and they start talking too broadly, then the market senses risk, and we can see mortgage interest rates go up. And so there is no direct thing that we can point to say this is going to affect mortgage interest rates. It is a big conglomeration of a number of things, but really mortgage interest rates track with that 10-year Treasury note yield. Over time, you can see how they do. We've seen a disconnect even from that over let's call it the last 18 months, where they act inverse. And so it confuses the marketplace, it confuses the consumer, it confuses the professional,
Right.
It confuses the mortgage professional. So it's hard to throw a dart and nail exactly what affects those rates.
The other part is supply and demand.
Correct.
We've got big demand. People are moving here. We
Yep.
love that. Our economy seems to be booming, but the supply is not increasing.
Right.
What's the answer to that supply question? You and I talked before the cameras
Yeah.
went on. 65,000 homes being built in 2007. We're not anywhere near that number.
Not
Is that really the crux of the problem? We just don't have enough supply?
Yeah, in a thriving economy, in a thriving environment where people are moving to Phoenix, moving to Arizona for a number of reasons: climate, environment, socioeconomic reasons, a number of reasons why people are coming here. We simply don't have the supply. You know, you look around the valley and you see things going vertical, right? You see those apartment complexes being built, you see condominium complexes being built. That is part of an infrastructure push that can help. However, we are way behind on new home starts in order to fully supply the demand that we have with our population growth.
Is that more of a labor force issue in the construction industry? It can't be interest, because I would imagine developers right now would be chomping at the bit to develop land and build houses.
Well, developers sense risk. You know, developers, in my professional career, I have found that many developers are about as skittish of people as anyone that I know. When they're going to invest big money into things, they really look at everything. And sometimes they get into analysis paralysis. So I know a bunch of home builders. I know a bunch of developers right now. They're like, I don't really know where things are going to go or how things are going to play. So I'm just going to keep my powder dry right now.
See, that's. I'm so glad you're here, because I, as the naive person, I see that as the opposite. I would think that builders are looking for any piece of land to build on. But the risk assessment, do you believe that in the next 12 months, 24 months, that we're going to see interest rates moderate a little bit, and are we going to see more interest in building?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you know, the further we look out, the more opaque my crystal ball becomes, right? If it's right in front of us, we can say, hey, here's what it looks like. But 12, 24 months out, we start really losing sight of our ability to predict. That being said, when you look at the big analysts, let's call it Goldman, let's call it the National Association of Realtors, the Mortgage Bankers Association, they're all predicting a decrease in mortgage interest rates in the coming months and in the coming year. So with that, it's going to increase demand because it becomes more affordable for people to purchase. With that demand, you know, we're not the only ones looking at that data. Home builders are looking at that data. Investors are looking at that data saying, hey, if mortgage interest rates go down, we're going to see a bump in demand. And so it does make sense to start building homes, buying land, that sort of stuff. But it's typically a lag. You find home builders lag as they're looking at the data. And then when things start getting weird, they're the first ones to shut off. So you can watch home builders, big national builders too, is kind of an indication of what they think is going to happen with the marketplace.
Love the conversation. It's always great to get an education. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate it.
we'll be back.